Let's see. Oh shit. I know that's a ton.
That's not a dab. Today on Bad Ones, we have Ashton Shanks, serial entrepreneur and marketing mastermind, here to answer some spicy questions for us. He began his journey in marketing at the age of 16. Now he's the co-founder and CEO of the bold and disruptive digital marketing agency, Bad Marketing. Hey,
Sure.
Ashton.
What's up, man?
How's it going?
A little nervous right now, not gonna lie. I'm not a huge fan of spicy food, so this is perfect for me.
I've seen you walking around the office with that Los Calientes.
Yeah, so that is
That
actually
one
my favorite. That's
that
my
one?
favorite one. If you've tried it, like it's not hot, it's got like a little bit of a kick, but the barbacoa flavor is delicious. It's awesome.
And then that's where the fun stops.
Yeah, that's about where it stops. Yeah. Even sometimes, like when I'm having my food with it, I'll be like, a little bit of kick on this one. I have to pull back next time.
We have 6 rounds of hot sauce for you. Each round of hot sauce is gonna have a different category of questions, and things are going to get hotter and hotter as we go along, and we're gonna break you down more and more as we go along.
Cool.
This first one is 33,000 Scoville Los Calientes Barbacoa.
All right. I do know this one, so I'm not worried about it.
So you got your first job in marketing when you were 16. What's the story there?
I basically just had a buddy who worked at this lady's garage, and they sold cell phone parts on eBay. And one day he texted me, I guess they were running behind, and then in a few weeks they were going out of town. So he asked if I could come over and help them, and then they trained me up so I can help kind of package up orders essentially as they were on vacation. So I went over, I did a good job, and they decided to hire me on. And a little while later, the company started growing. They wanted to start a marketing department, and just because I had worked there the longest, they asked me if I wanted to be the marketing director. And so I said yes, just because it sounded cool to be a director. And from there, I remember going to Barnes & Noble and buying my first 2 books on marketing, which was Jab Jab, Right Hook by Gary Vaynerchuk, and then Marketing for Dummies. And that was my first intro into marketing and advertising.
What were the 2 biggest things that you learned from those books?
Jab Jab Right Hook, I think it was a lot more of the value first approach to marketing. Gary really preached this a ton, and it was the idea of like, how do you start attracting customers and how do you start converting customers by just giving them value to the point to where you can actually right hook, which is ask for the sale. Marketing for Dummies, I think, was just a overall good brief on like what is marketing, because I had no idea.
Were you still 16 at that point?
Yeah.
Being a marketing director at the age of 16, that must have come with a lot of stress. How did you deal with that and not being overwhelmed?
I think in the beginning, it honestly wasn't that stressful. It was one of those things where I had the title, but it wasn't like I was managing a big team. As the company started growing, 3.5 years later, we were doing 2.3 million a month in revenue. At that point, I started to have a team, and I had to figure that part out. But in the beginning, I just got to come up with ideas, and they let me do whatever I want.
So our next sauce is Bourbon Maple Reaper. This one is 73,000 Scoville, so over twice as hot as the last one.
Great.
So it's gonna be a good time. I love me some Bourbon Maple.
Okay.
What is your definition of success professionally, in life, and with a company?
Definition of success. This is something I think has changed quite a bit over time. So there are actual impact goals and projections that I have for myself. And a lot of that is in anti-human trafficking. What I want to do in life is in venture capital, it's in business acquisition and M&A. But success in and of itself for me at this point is feeling really, really good about the man I am today, having good health, and being the best leader and CEO that I can be. It used to be, I would say, like achieving my maximum potential, right? Or my greatest fear in life was to have missed potential. But realistically, if you're a high performer or you're someone with ambition, you have to ask yourself the question, is there ever going to be a moment in your life where you will have no potential to be more or to have more or to become more? No. And so if your fear in life or if your goal in life is to achieve your max potential, you're never going to reach it inherently, because there's always going to be more. And so I think what I've tried to lean into now though, is what is my standards for what I expect for myself as a man, as a human, as a partner, as an owner, as a CEO and leader? And then am I matching those standards? If I'm matching those standards, then I'm successful.
What do you think is the biggest mistake that you see people make in their careers?
There's a lot of different mistakes that people make when it comes to their careers and their decisions, and I think most of them, though, will stem from them not truly knowing what they want long term. Because unless you know what you truly want long term, then you don't really know how to make decisions today to get you there tomorrow, right? And so when I see people making decisions, it's either leaving a job, taking one for more money, staying at a company too long because it's secure. It's because they aren't in clear alignment with what they want down the road. And so they'll make rash decisions either because they got bored or they don't want to go through the struggle or trial and if things feel challenging right now versus their real goal for long term. They need to go through those struggles. And the benefits is that they get to do it in a place that they already have brand or relationship equity in, they have trust, they have security, but they give it up because they want the shiny penny or something that feels easier right now. So I'd say the main mistakes happen there first.
All right, so up next we have the Forbidden Fruit hot sauce. This one is 124,000 Scoville, so we're working our way up. And we're gonna be answering some questions about leadership.
All right, let's do it. Forbidden fruit and leadership. Let's go.
Not too bad.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe my tolerance has gotten better, but that wasn't that big of a deal at all.
Maybe there's something to slowly scaling up.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'm feeling fine now.
Who is a historical leader in particular who you feel like you've learned something from?
3 people are Walt Disney, and then I would say Charlie Munger, and then Winston Churchill. First, let's start with Walt Disney, right? We think of Walt Disney as like the creative genius, right? And that's what we know him as, is he was just this insane visionary and genius when it came to creating stories, right? Oof, Spice is starting to kick in.
This one's a slow burn, I'm getting it too.
Yeah, but what's interesting is that Walt Disney was actually known as being the master of control. This dude was a fanatic, obsessed person when it came to his projects and what he wanted to build. And, example, when they were trying to build Disneyland, he was so obsessive about making sure every single thing was exactly the highest quality, the best, because in his head, it wasn't that they wouldn't notice this one thing, but it's the compound effect of all these little things being world-class and being top-notch. That's what makes a true experience. And Walt Disney really innovated the concept of turning a theme park into this being in a movie, being in scenes. One of the stories they had was when they were watching the fireworks go off on the first night that Disneyland opened, they had the nighttime fireworks. They're at the end of the night, this person's sitting with Walt Disney in his apartment in Disneyland. And they're watching these fireworks at the end of this day, and they just notice that he keeps writing in his notepad as the fireworks are going off. Well, it turns out later, they found out that he was counting every individual firework that went off because he was so into the details of making sure everything was right. So it's incredible to see about Walt Disney and something I didn't know. Charlie Munger is like the king of mental models and using these different models to make analysis. But he is just such the profound excellence on logic and common sense. And I think the more that us as leaders can think in logic and common sense and use mental models to analyze situations or to problem solve, the more we can do this, the better. And Winston Churchill, this guy was so nutty and confident and egotistic. This guy would get on a white horse during the battle and he rode it on the front lines. And everyone around him was cowering, they're hiding in the bunkers, they're like, what is this guy doing? He's riding it on the front lines of the battle. And I remember one of his quotes, it basically says that God would not create a man like me if I was going to have such a prosaic death. Meaning, there's no way I'm gonna get shot or die in this war because God would make someone so incredible like me if I was just gonna die by being shot inside of a war. This guy knew he was gonna lead nations. Which is absolutely astounding and fascinating to read, but those are the things I'm learning.
How has your leadership style evolved over your career?
Oh man, what a question. A ton. Just like anyone, when you've been punched in the face a lot, you get a lot more wiser, I think. And so if you looked at me from, let's say, 2020 to Ashton now, I would say that Ashton today is much more steady, much more patient, much more calculated. And I also have such a longer vision down the road. I was always very good at thinking ahead and thinking moves ahead, but now I don't just think in weeks or months ahead. I think now in 5, 10 years from now, and it's been really great. But I also think I've learned to enjoy some of the process in the between times to a much greater effect. I used to really never celebrate wins. I was always focused on the next thing I wanted to do. I wasn't really appreciating or having the fun around me with team and staff or clients or whatever. And I think now I've just learned to appreciate much of that because I always tell people it's like the thing on that other side of the mountain, the mountain that you're facing right now, that you're working so hard to climb because you're like, once I get to the top of this mountain, it's gonna be amazing. Well, on the other side of that mountain is another mountain. And so, yeah, it's a taller mountain, it's a bigger mountain, especially if you want to expand, it's going to be bigger, it's going to be harder. And so I think I've just learned more to appreciate that, and things just kind of don't affect me as much, and I enjoy myself much more.
All right, let's move into some marketing and media buying questions.
Cool.
So our next one is the bomb. This one's 135,000 Scoville.
Oh man, this is the rough one. I know this one very well. This is not fun.
It's got a cool bottle though.
Great, good job guys. You have a cool bottle.
Good work.
Screw you. Yep. Right off the bat.
Yeah, there it is.
Right there.
The taste is about the same, but just it hurts more.
Yep. And instantly. I'm not gonna do any liquid. I said I wasn't gonna do it.
You're wild.
Man, there it is. We have reached the heat section.
We're here. We made it.
All right.
On that note, so short question for you. Over your career, how many client ad accounts do you think that you have touched?
Oh God.
Just ballpark wild estimate.
Client ad accounts. Maybe realistically, around 500. Ad accounts total, over 1,000. Dang, bro.
This one's got you.
This one's got me.
Follow-up question is, am I fired?
Not if this video goes viral.
In those 500-ish accounts, what was the biggest win and the biggest loss that you've experienced, and what did you learn from those?
Biggest win, holy. Rough, dude. I'm crying. Can you see it?
I can definitely see it.
Oh. Collect myself here. Focus. Biggest win was probably a company that's still a client today. They were one of my first ever clients. And they came to me back in maybe 2017, 2018. And they came to me because they kept getting rejected ads. They'd only made like $4,000 max in revenue. And they just couldn't get anything approved. And so they came to me, started working with them. And like the next month, we did 30 grand in revenue. The next month we did like 80 grand in revenue. Next month we did like 150 grand in revenue. And basically over the next like 9 months, we got them to like $500,000 a month in revenue. And recurring, this was a SaaS company. And then they're still a client today, but that was a company that was like from the grassroots, couldn't even get anything going, to an 8-figure company. That was one of my favorites, and they're great guys. I like them a lot, and it's just cool to like, they're still clients. They've been with me from when I was a freelancer to when I started Human Media to now Bad. And it's just been cool to like their journey and then mine together. It's been cool. Biggest loss was probably a time I woke up in one of our largest accounts back in Human Media. One of our largest accounts had spent like 25 grand by 7 a.m. And it was also a week that I was sick for 4 days with like 102 fever. I was throwing up. I was working a ton. I was running 9 accounts, plus being CEO, plus sales, plus everything else. And it was the first time I could get someone else to run that account. And for that mistake to happen on the first day and get immediate messages from the client that morning of just like, what the hell happened? You know, we screwed up. This is why I didn't let anyone else in the account. And I really needed this account off my shoulders because I was just burnt out. And I had to refund the client. Obviously had to take back over the ads. And that was tough. That was probably my biggest loss. I think, and it was the first time I actually had a panic attack, I remember. Was right after I got off that call, saying that I'd get it fixed, I would do the right thing, and we'd get them refunded. I remember I broke down, and I had never had a panic attack before, and that was really scary. And I remember crying, actually, first time in business of like crying, of just like, man, I didn't know what to do. I was so tired. My biology was gone. I was overworked. I was managing too much. And then having a failure and for me, I have high conviction of failure. And like when I feel like I've let someone down, it means a lot to me. That one broke me. That was tough. I'm like snot coming down right now.
I'm gonna cut these clips for shorts, and I'm gonna be just zoomed in on your face so you can't see the chicken wing.
Ugh.
People don't have context, and people are just gonna think you're crazy.
There's like
this guy crying on social media.
Yo, bro, it's just an ad account. Chill.
I want to take it to the really basic level. One of your biggest specialties is media buying. Can you explain that to someone who doesn't know exactly what media buying is?
Yeah, so media buying in a sense is, it's taking your marketing, you turn that marketing into what we call an ad, which is like, you have a couple different types of ads, right? But in our world, we focus on what's called direct response, which means I'm gonna show you something and I want you to do something after seeing it, right? I want you to take action, become a lead, purchase a product, right? That's direct response. So all media buying it's funny because there's old media buying, there's like what we call media buying today. Old media buying was they would take that ad and they would negotiate with distributors and networks like TVs and radios and newspapers and billboards, and they would negotiate rates to buy that media placement, right? That was what it was originally. And now, what we mostly do and what a lot of the modern world, or internet world calls media buying is placing ads on social media, like Meta, YouTube, Google, all that stuff. And what we do is essentially, we take ads, either we're writing them or team delivers them to us. We create the ads, and we essentially will then use the platforms that we have in their targeting data to target specific user groups that we believe would be best fit for our offer. And the technicality of media buying is that you've got to be able to understand what the data is telling you. What does a CPM or cost per click or click-through rates and all this mumbo jumbo metrics, and what do they mean so that we can either optimize and find better audiences, or how can we spend more money to that audience and maintain the profit or try to increase profit?
What do you think is the weirdest ad campaign that you've ever run?
Yes, actually. So there was this one company that had metal signs, basically, that they sold. There was this one campaign that essentially, it was a warning sign that you kind of see in the South. It said, beware trained chickens or something like that, or no trespassing, beware trained chickens, right? And it wasn't selling and it wasn't working at all, right? And so we basically created this ad where it's like, well, this ad is, the sign is okay, but if we can add some humor, or we can kind of illustrate what the idea of a trained chicken looks like in the prospect's mind, then maybe we can get the conversion rates to increase. So all we essentially did, it has this picture of a chicken that's like dead eye staring at you, right? And we just took this image of the sign and then put the chicken's head right there on it, and it really popped off the news feed. And all of a sudden, we were starting to get purchases on this sign that was like $9 to $10 for like $2 to $3. And we just started scaling this campaign. It was one of the funniest things because it was just such a simple tweak that just made people love the ad. People just were commenting all over it that it was hilarious. They wanted to buy it because now all of a sudden, when we could illustrate what a trained chicken was in their head, now all of a sudden the sign was hilarious. And now they wanted to buy it because when their friends came over, they could show it off. It was great.
Nice. Now they've got a mascot too. All right, so now we are moving to the Matasanos hot sauce, which from what I understand is quite hot.
Great.
This is 680,000 Scoville.
Okay. Oh, I'm not gonna lie, my mouth is still really on fire from that last one.
That was no joke.
Yeah, all right. I'm just going in.
So you've been doing a lot of research on AI lately. How do you see AI transforming the marketing industry over the next 5 years?
Oh man, AI is gonna change, I mean, not even just the marketing industry, it's gonna change the world over the next 5 years. But if we're talking specifically marketing, the value of marketing agencies will not really be predicated or so much predicated on service anymore. I believe that the value of marketing agencies is really going to be more in the data and technology that they possess. You're seeing more and more that platforms are trying to get AI involved and to have less management or work being done because they want their machine learning to get all of the control versus the actual media buyer, right? And this is why even on Meta, they're introducing like AI-generated headlines and body copies. They're already suggesting it. They want creatives to have AI optimizations on them, that they are starting to add more and more of these features and giving us less and less control on what we can do in the accounts, right? So even inherently on that side, without us implementing AI tools on our end, platforms are just going to take more and more control away, right? Which means business owners will eventually not really need to hire a specialized agency to run ads because Meta or the platforms will allow them to do it with a couple clicks anyway, right? And so unless agencies or people in marketing can start to either learn how to use either specialized AI tools to make their jobs really effective, or B, start gathering intense amounts of data that business owners can't get on their own, those are the leverage points that they're gonna actually have. And so when we think about AI specifically, right now how most people think of AI is I use a ChatGPT or I use a XYZ platform, right? And they're using that for everything, all questions, right? And those platforms are great and they're getting really good, but the problem with platforms like ChatGPT, or the issue that can constrain you, is that ChatGPT has to answer a question of someone wanting to know a cookie recipe versus someone wanting to analyze a spreadsheet analytics, right? It has to answer both those questions. And so because of that, it has a ton of data, but also it's not specialized. The real way to get AI leveraged is by getting an AI focused on one task and getting really, really good at that one task. And so even in the future of AI, it's not that businesses will use an AI. It's not like bad will have an AI. We will have AI teams. We will have an AI made specially for one specific task that works with another AI that works on one specific task. And specifically in marketing agencies, we will have AI teams working together to get tasks done that can do hundreds, if not thousands, of revisions before it ever gets to a human really, really fast.
So do you think that companies who are not able to adapt and leverage AI to improve their processes, do you think they're gonna fail? And if that's the case, how do you think that affects the marketing landscape?
Yes, if agencies do not find ways to leverage AI to make their jobs faster and more efficient, then they will probably eventually be done. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they'll fail, because realistically what will happen is if I'm an agency, let's say I'm an agency and I've hyper-indexed on AI and I have 100 clients and I have 20 people that run that entire organization. And you're an agency that has 100 clients, but you have 80 people to manage that operation. You might not necessarily fail. As my agency, I'm probably gonna come buy you because I can handle your entire workload and clients with only adding a few more team members to mine, which makes me really, really profitable.
All right, are you ready for the last dab?
Not really, but I don't have a choice at this point.
Yeah, we're in too deep.
I mean, if I just delay, it's the longer this thing is gonna heat my mouth.
The longer you have to wait before you can drink that milk.
Exactly.
So I have not pre-sauced this one yet, so we'll dot them.
Okay. All right, let's see. Oh shit. I know that's a ton.
That's not a dab. that is not a dab.
Damn it.
The last soaking.
Ah, dang it. I'm freaking doing this, man. We came all this way.
All right.
Dang it.
That's a hearty serving of sauce
cheers,
you
bro.
got there.
It's a very hearty one. And all right, let's do it. Frick.
Oh, by the way, this is 2.5 million Scoville. I don't think I said
2.5.
that yet.
Yep. I looked it up. I remember.
Can you explain to me the 2x2 method?
Yeah. So the 2x2 method is simply kind of a way of taking a concept that you have, an angle that you have in an advertisement, and expanding it so that you get a lot more out of that idea. Right? Because a lot of people struggle with, they have an ad, and then they don't do much with it, or they don't test it thoroughly enough, and so then they just create another ad, and another ad, and another ad, and they're just on this hamster wheel. So, whoa, something just kicked in. 2x2 method is the idea that there's kind of like two ways to approach a conversation. There's a direct way and an indirect way, right? And so a direct way example would be like, let's say that there's a gym and they're doing a discount on their summer memberships, right? And let's say it's 50% off. A direct way to come at that would just be saying, Nashville Fitness, 50% off summer memberships, right? That'd be a very direct way of doing it. An indirect way would be like saying, getting rock hard abs just got cheaper, right? That'd be an indirect way. And so the 2x2 is saying that you could always create two things. So like a headline and then body. So you create a direct headline and an indirect headline. You create a direct body copy and an indirect body copy. And you run those ads and you can vary them and mix them together to test them. And really why we do this is because a couple things. A, we know that based on Eugene Schwartz's states of awareness, is that the people who are more aware of their problem, solution, product, or totally aware, they don't need indirect because they don't need to be educated or painted the picture. They just need to be told what it is, right? And so someone who's already looking for a summer gym membership, I don't need to say Rock Hard Abs just got cheaper. I just need to say Nashville Fitness 50% off, right? And so when you run these separately, it's taking the same core concept that we're trying to build, but it's testing them direct or indirect, because then that'll start to tell us which one our most profitable markets react to, so that we can create future ads that are either more direct or more indirect. And so this is just the way of taking one ad, turning it into essentially 8 different ads and being able to test those, and then using those learnings to expand from there.
Well, there you have it, everyone. Ashton Shanks, man of the people. He does all his own stunts. Anything you would like to say to close us out?
This was hot, and hey, I did not have any liquid. No liquid. We didn't cut it. No liquid. I said I wouldn't. I am gonna have some now, though. Now that we're done.
Milk was entirely untouched until this moment.
But no, this was fun. Like I love talking about marketing, leadership, entrepreneurship, history, all that stuff. So new and exciting ways. But hey, if you're not subscribed to this channel or following my page yet, and you're seeing this, I just went through so much pain. Please hit that subscribe button. Or actually, maybe don't, so they stop coming up with ideas like this. Because if it works, I'm sure they're gonna come up with something else crazy. But that was good.